and birds.
Cocks and briefs.
Yeah, cockabriefs. And this all came from an article called When Humans Start Wars with Birds, It Never Ends Well by Jess Thompson, September 13th, 2022, Newsweek.com. 1932, some residents of Australia declared war on emus due to the amount of damage they were causing to crops. A group of World War I veterans armed with Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition attempted to wipe out a large group of emus. Yeah. I mean, I would wipe
I never
out,
cared for emos anyway.
I would wipe out all the emos.
I think they're pretty easy to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Just play Depeche Mode and they all gather in one place and you whack them down with your Lewis
down
gun.
a little bit.
Yeah. They were only able to kill a few dozen or so, and the bad press they got over their lack of success caused these former soldiers to withdraw, and the emus were declared the winners of the Emu War.
Lewis gun was a crappy machine.
It was.
Yeah, Lewis gun. Yeah, that's how that went. This is a story I had never heard before. China made things really bad during the Four Pests campaign in the 1950s, in which they tried to eliminate rats, flies, mosquitoes, and sparrows. The sparrows took the brunt of the effort and were helpless against nest and egg destruction, killing of the chicks, and being shot from the sky. The efforts nearly drove the sparrows to extinction, and their absence upset the ecosystem so badly in that area that it led to explosions of their prey insects, and that included locusts that went ahead and ate all of the crops that they were trying to protect by killing the sparrows. So it's thought that the killing of these sparrows contributed to the Great Chinese Famine, and China eventually imported 250,000 sparrows from the Soviet Union to try and reverse the damage.
Were they red sparrows?
All they could spare.
They were, yeah, probably red sparrows. And back to Australia for the reason I totally wrote this story. And they are at war with cockatoos. The neighborhoods in Sydney are upset that these cockatoos are spreading garbage all over the streets because they break into garbage cans. The cans can't be sealed shut because trucks need to dump them on your garbage collection day. And that being the case, locals began coming up with ways to keep the birds out of their trash bins. Bricks on the lids, blocking ninjas with sticks, and using rope to keep the lids closed. The cockatoos, have defeated all of the attempts.
Let's call that MVP.
Yeah. And the knowledge of how to defeat each method of keeping them out of the bins have spread within the social structures of the birds as well. So the lead author, behavioral ecologist Max Planck, the lead author and behavioral ecologist. Is it ecologist?
It's ecologist.
Oh, yeah.
Ecologist. Man, I'm the one with this one.
Yeah. It turns out I got it too in a drink. Yeah. At the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior, Barbara Klump says, we could actually show that this is a cultural trait. Is that right?
Yeah, cultural trait.
Yeah. The actual paper is titled, Is Bin Opening in Cockatoos Leading to an Innovation Arms Race with Humans? She goes on to say, the cockatoos learn the behavior from observing other cockatoos, and within each group, they sort of have their own special technique. So across a wide geographic range and techniques, they are more dissimilar.
Well, I read that same article, and it is very funny that the humans are doing the same things the cockatoos are doing.
Right.
Are the cockatoos striving for nukes?
No.
Because, they said arms race.
Yeah. Well,
They're all learning at the same rate.
George already beat us to the punch, and that is the fact that your average cockatoo is as smart as your average neighbor. They are
Average Australian.
They're your average Australian neighbor. They're learning from each other, and they get the same cultural things that we get. It is what it is. George nailed it.
What's that?
Sorry.
Foster?
Sorry.
Yeah, they get Fosters.
Fosters and Vegemite.
Yeah, the green can though, because it's better.
Well, it's because it's bitter.
Yeah,
Bitter, better.
yeah. George, tell a story. I can tell your punchline too.
Wait, I have a joke.
What-
I have a joke for George.
Oh,
What does the right testicle say to the left testicle? We're nuts.
boom.
I threw him off.
They're nuts.
So it's kind of interesting you brought up the bird thing because I found this group that they believe that all the birds were dead in 1987, and they're all biomechanically replaced at this point. So. I believe they call themselves Birds Aren't Real.
Birds aren't real.
Yes, so
Boom. Birds aren't real.
and it is interesting. They said they started with the eggs because obviously where do chicken eggs come from? They're just synthesized. That's all there is to it. And then their proof is they have these photos from World War I where they have like a pigeon with a camera strapped on it. It's like that was the beginning idea, and then little by little, starting in 1974, and Richard Nixon supposedly was the one that started the whole
Old
campaign
tricky dick.
to replace all of the birds. So all of the birds are extinct, and they're all biomechanical robots.
Wow. It was so much easier. It would be so much easier to do bird rescue if that was true.
Yeah.
No, they're all CIA controlled. So there's a bird watching all of us all of the time.
Goes back to the sleeper soldiers.
The seagulls and crows watch me. I don't know what kind of birds watch other people.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
It seems like Bubo from Clash of the Titans,
Right. And that would be like the
mechanical owl.
Yeah.
And you know, Leonardo da Vinci, he would have played a part in the initial.
We've got Ray Harryhausen to animate every bird that follows every person on the planet.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
accurate.
if you have a pet bird, they listen to everything you say, and it goes right to
Well, there's
Apple or Google.
your pigeons up there, George.
Yep, that's the origin.
Yeah. Friggin' pigeons with a camera.
Cyber.
Who'd have thunk it?
That's all I got.
That's like the early GoPro.
Yeah.
The GoPro 1. Right
Yeah.
there.
Like when they poop on you, that just holds micro RFID chips that can be followed later.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so you can be tracked.
That's some Peter Parker stuff right there. That's like a Spider-Man tracker. Like, blam. Yeah. Speederman?
Peterman.
Okay. I think it's time for a little bit of Q&A. Anybody want to approach that microphone?
And ask us questions.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Do you have a weird animal story, sir?
Hi, my name is John Fosberg,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if you guys knew which bird was watching me.
It's
Probably a
a
pelican.
It's a pelican, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because when I'm in Mexico, they're always flying up above me.
That's right. You, sir, rock.
National treasure.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Come on.
Feed 'em fish.
Yeah. Anybody with a real story?
You know you want
Does
to.
anybody have a favorite
Here she comes.
interaction
Oh.
with the
There
wild
she
animal?
comes.
Here it is.
What is your evidence that birds are real?
I ate one for dinner the other night.
No, I don't have any really that the meat is synthesized.
I have eaten birds since that time frame that were shot in the wild, so I'm kind of thinking it ain't true.
They've been
Which birds?
They've been replaced.
I've had a
since
pheasant. I've had
87.
quail. I've had dove. So yeah, I'm thinking, and and duck.
Chicken?
Oh, I eat chicken all the time, at least. Oh, here's a Cornish game hens. Are a
According-
non-existent bird. They're
According to these
very
people, they're
young
all
chicken.
manufactured. They're just replicated.
and we still eat their meat?
Yeah.
That's just wrong.
Wow.
Any others? Come on, somebody's got to have something. Come on.
Any interaction with a wild animal.
Yeah.
Or a not so wild animal.
Anyone want to step up and tell us how bad we suck?
Does anybody want to talk about
Take the mic,
the
Peter.
the North American? Does anybody want to talk about the Northwest jackass?
Megan?
I'd like to ask about the Alaskan crabs. What's going on with that?
It sucks. Basically, George is going to say it doesn't exist, but I've read some of the studies, and basically, there's a couple things going on. Yes, it could be possibly global warming, but quite a few years ago, they had an explosion of crab births, and so there's a lot of immature ones. Now, it takes them, I want to say, 5 to 7 years before they're mature. So what happened is there were so many of them that they were actually eating each other.
Oh.
And so that actually has helped with the degradations. Now, they're still harvesting a little bit in Russia and somewhat in Canada. But it's just, we shall see. It just may be a cyclic thing. There's no, and again, I'm just saying it could be a very much of a cyclic thing. I know George has something to say on it. I know there is some evidence that there are not that many there because the harvest numbers have gone way down. And I think it's like the sardines off the West Coast. They gave them a break for a while and they came back booming. And that's just what I think they needed to give them a little bit of a break.
I think it's part of a large decadal oscillation that happens through the oceans. Some of it stems from the Indian Ocean all the way, and it just forces that El Nino effect more and more and more. And it got extended and a little more severe than it was before. That's my theory on the whole thing. And a bit of overfishing.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And it's La Nina. We're doing our triple La Nina
No, the
right
effect
now.
the effect is in the north, La Nina, but
Yes, sir. You look like you have a question.
Yes, long time listener, first time caller. How are the bees doing? How are your bees, Mark?
shitty.
Well,
They're getting attacked by yellow jackets right now.
we had an issue, yeah, and we shall see. The problem we're having is with all the smoke in the local area, we don't know how well that's affecting them. One of our hives, which was our strongest one, oh, you can top that off, sir, is also weakening. It's not as good as it was, whereas that's our number 2 hive. Our number 1 hive, which is the one we've had swarm, and then we had added another hive to it. We added a queen, and this actually has the most bees in it right now. So we just lived there last week, and it was not. I'm a little more optimistic than George. We shall see. I put some traps out for the yellow jackets.
They just attack and attack and attack.
And I know George got stung by one.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? We took
did
down
like it.
we took down quite a few. I will tell you, I was snatching them out of the air and smashing them. But you know,
Okay, next question. When is the sea bass episode?
which sea bass? There's multiples.
Yeah.
What is the black sea bass, the white sea bass?
I think Bob
The
gets to
Peruvian
choose
sea
which
bass.
sea bass.
Sea bass has always been known for having multiples.
Multiple what?
You guess it. Right. Nah, I don't have a favorite sea bass. I just like picked sea bass because it was a character from Dumb and Dumber. Whoever threw that salt shaker's a dead man. That's where sea bass comes from.
Kick his ass, see that?
Thank you.
Exactly.
For our
Also
lovely
that,
beer
Tim.
wenches.
Love it.
I have a question.
I love it.
Oh,
As an animal lover, such as yourselves, how can we best, I don't know, protect animals? Are you fans of? I want to know what you think of zoos, actually.
What we think of zoos?
Yeah, are you a fan of zoos?
I think we have a pretty solid opinion about zoos.
F zoos.
No.
No,
That's my opinion.
I think they're a good holder of DNA.
They're a good holder of DNA. I mean, having lived in San Diego County with the San Diego Zoo, they've actually have quite a few programs where through their breeding project, they've reintroduced animals back into the wild that would not have been there. Case in point is the Przewalski horse, the Arabian oryx. Up here in,
ass.
pardon me?
It's pronounced ass, isn't it?
No, not ass. No, that's Przewalski's horse or ass. And then it's the Arabian oryx. And yeah,
Or ass.
your ass. And then up here, even at Point Defiance with the Red Wolf, they're actually using that and reintroducing those into the wild. I know at the Sonoran Desert Museum in Arizona, one of my favorite zoos of all time. If you ever get down there, go visit it. They've actually helped with the reintroduction of the Mexican wolf back into the wild. So, and they've also worked with reintroducing the thick-billed parrot, which was the only parrot that came up into North America other than the Carolina parrot, which we've driven to extinction. The San Antonio Zoo has worked to do reintroduction of the Puerto Rican toad. And also here in Washington, we've done some reintroduction of the tailed frog.
The what?
The tailed frog.
Tailed frogs.
Yeah, the dick frog.
Oh, yeah.
Back into the wild and worked with the one of our endangered turtles, the Pacific
Slow turtle.
pond turtle, which has disappeared in a lot of its range only because of the introduction of the Raider slider, which is one of the most invasive species in the world.
Yeah.
It ranks behind the cat, domestic cat, and the crayfish that comes out of Louisiana. Those are three of those. Those are three of the things that are three of the most invasive species. So zoos, and again, the San Diego Zoo, they started years and years ago a DNA bank where they have frozen embryos and DNA for animals that they've used to fertilize living animals. And no, not grass, but basically to add diversity.
I agree. It's not far from that.
It's not far from it, but it's to add a genetic diversity to animals like their black-footed ferret. They actually help create more diversity to reintroduce them into the wild. So
Is it true you were in the hand-drawn black-footed ferret semen program?
I was not.
I feel like you were.
No, I wasn't.
With that hat on specifically because it drew attention
Hey,
away
somebody-
from the other hand.
who is this guy, this homeless-looking guy that's wandering around trying to get my camera?
That's accurate.
There you go.
Yeah, it's Megan. It's my wife.
No, it's not Megan. It's that
Yeah.
guy with his hat on
I call my
back.
wife a homeless guy. This is
She's no
messed up.
guy. Oh, no. She's no guy.
This is messed
I
up.
know that. She's no guy. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, you're toast now, Bob.
I know.
No, I'm trying to steer us back to more PG-13
Why?
discussion.
We're uncensored.
And Bob, first of all, I'm Megan. I'm married to a Northwest animal by means of Arizona.
That's
And,
the Northwest Jackass?
Short-legged, long-bearded.
Ring my bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
would
later
love,
tonight.
given that we have family listening, I really enjoyed listening to you telling me the story of growing up in the Arizona desert and your pop putting you to work and his special way of killing snakes so you could get an icy cold Sprite at
No.
the end. So
I
This
didn't like that story.
is a funny story.
it is a funny story.
Yeah.
And I think, and before you jump into that, since you just mentioned San Diego, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to a dear work colleague and friend who also lives in outside of San Diego, Alexis Molina, who does tune in to us. So over to you.
Yeah, Pop used to hire us kids at $2 an hour in the 110-degree Arizona summer heat to hula ho his almost 1 acre drive-up circle that was paved with asphalt while he drove around on a motorized deal that would basically do the same thing we were doing on a large scale with an icy cold Sprite in his hand. If we ran across a snake, we would yell, "Hey, Pop." He would come over, chop the snake's head off with a shovel. That's what Pop did.
Not a hoe?
Sometimes a hoe. Do you chop a snake's head off with a hoe, George?
I thought you were a hoe.
Yeah.
Back in
Well,
the day. Not anymore.
yeah, it all went down like that.
That's what they do in Missouri.
Yeah.
Hey,
They'll
that
chop
gator
heads.
jerky there.
What is this?
Gator jerky.
Gator jerky. So somehow, Mark managed to pass out gator jerky.
I think I got the tail.
No,
Or maybe that's not the tail.
that's not the tail, George.
Long live Papa.
It's not bad.
Mm-mm.
It's got a little sweet to it.
Yeah, you got the good part.
Yeah,
That's the best gator I've had.
truth. Me too. What are we doing now?
I don't know. Uh-oh.
I'm gonna take the
I'm gonna do a cartwheel.
the softball question here.
Oh,
All
God.
right.
What are each of your favorite animals?
My wife.
Perfect.
Love you, Debbie.
Wow.
You're gonna say moo moo.
I can't follow that.
You're gonna say moo moo.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. It's not. Well, if it's not a human, my favorite animal would probably be. I'm going to say, believe it or not, the Pacific tree frog, which was George's friend frog. That was the first frog. This is different. Try this one. That was the first frog that I ever worked with in terms of breeding when I was in high school.
First frog you ever bred with?
I ever
How many
had breed for me.
Wow. So do they eject eggs while you put sperm on them?
Oh yeah.
No. But I
Do they
created.
have to wear the hat?
Yeah, but that hat I don't believe in.
I actually created a early form of a rain chamber because I kind of figured out that they bred during the rainy season. So why not create rain? So I had an old aquarium, and then I would set it up, and I actually went through 4 generations,
Damn.
Wow.
and I let them loose.
So you're a little kid and you're like, these
I'm in
frogs
high
don't
school.
do it enough.
I was in high school. It was just something.
What if they had a chamber that rained?
Hey, I was back in the day, early herpetoculture. Every snake was, oh, we got to hibernate it to breed. Well, I was one of those guys that said, why would you breed a snake that lives at the hibernate a snake that lives at the equator? There's no cold period. The difference between seasons is it rains 20 inches or it rains 10 inches. So it's not, and so I was very much into natural history. So this is way before computers, and I read books. And I still to this day have probably over 600 books in my book collection.
Correction.
Yes. And we're now eating. You guys are now eating camel.
Good Lord. What did I eat first?
Gator.
So we've already gone through gator and camel.
Damn straight.
What's last?
You're gonna have some roux, man.
Some what?
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Uh-oh, there's Tim.
Damn.
And I want to thank Tim because he provided us with some gingerbread cookies from the gingerbread factory in Leavenworth, which we will.
Made out of real gingers.
That's right.
Made out of real
Sorry,
George.
Sorry, George.
Sorry, George.
Would that make you a cannibal?
That's why it's in
I
the
don't mind.
south.
Yeah, he does. He likes getting eaten.
So to bring it back to birds, the spotted owl, current situation with the barred owl, thoughts?
The barred owl is dominant, and it can literally take over the whole area where the spotted owl actually lives.
Yes.
And it's naturally moving its territory more over, killing the spotted owl. No,
That's
we're
because
killing barred owls.
barred owls were spotted owls lived in primary forests along the coastal areas. Eat some turkey dirt. Have some roux. And spotted owls, or the barred owls, are a larger, more aggressive one that lived in not as heavily forested areas. And so with the opening up of the forest because of the harvesting of the timber, it's created an environment that's more conducive to them. And they not only force them out because they're more aggressive, but they also predate them. So it's one of the reasons we need to hang on to our old growth forests. Because if you've ever been to any of the old growth forests, like say in Olympia, and that's a North American rainforest up in that area, it's hard to walk through it.
I think
If you're not on a trail, I mean,
I think the owls are way more stable than people would like to believe. They even the spotted owl can exist in places that are. I mean, they don't have to be old growth. They just have to be old growth like. So it can be a dark, shady place.
well, the issue is when they plant the new forest, they don't plant them as close, and it's all one species of tree, as opposed to a multitude of other plants.
Not anymore. Forest practices in Washington have changed. They don't do that anymore.
But that's what created the issue. Modern technology is a lot better. It's just like letting fires burn, because what they found out is when you don't let a forest fire burn, you're creating more issues. A lot of plants do not germinate the seeds unless there's a fire that goes over them. But when you have hundreds of, decades and decades of stuff on the forest floor, it creates a slow burn as opposed to a quick burn. So these trees don't survive it. What do you guys think of the kangaroo?
It's tough.
They all taste like meat.
That's what she said.
Y'all taste like a spotted owl.
Yeah, that's good spotted owl jerky. I don't know how you pulled the strings to get this for us, but it was totally worth it.
No,
Yeah, the bald eagle was magnificent. That one. Now we tried it before everybody was here. Yeah,
You should have had
just-
the omelet.
yeah, I shouldn't have even mentioned it.
So,
Yeah.
two questions. First, if you could go just round robin, as someone who's coming new into listening to the podcast, which was your favorite episode to produce? And follow-up question after that, directed to Seabass. We all heard, and I can't remember which episode, the story of Moo Moo and your nose ring. How's your nose doing?
First of all, I'm going to defer to Max because he would be the one to tell us what his favorite episode to produce was.
He's part of the round robin.
I almost think it's probably still continuing.
Probably the NASCAR one.
Oh, this is high up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, probably
So high.
the live reptile show when we got to handle Hodor the snake and George held an owl. That was
I
pretty
touched things
amazing.
I've never touched before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah, that was fun.
eagle owl, actually.
That was accurate. What was the second part?
It was fun.
Oh.
Oh yeah, my nose ring. That was the most brutal part of acquiescing to having more pets in our home. We were homeless pet. That's how we were rolling. We had no
You were
pets
not
in our
homeless.
home.
You had no pets in your home. You were not.
Does
a
that
homeless
make
pet.
sense?
No.
No, but
Whatever. We were pet homeless. Or wait, homeless pets.
Pet free.
petless.
Whatever. Whatever's gonna make that chick sing the song that, you
Sarah
know.
McLachlan?
Yeah. In the arms of an angel.
Which actually is
Tell
so
us that story, Bob.
That means has nothing to do with pets. But
Anyway, we had a long discussion. What do you want to do? Do you want to have dogs, or do you want to like be able to do whatever you want to do whenever
It was
you want to do
pandemic.
it? And it was the pandemic, and the choice I was given was get a dog or get a dog. So we got a dog, and then we got another dog, and then the first dog ripped my nose ring out of my face, out of the blue, one day while I was just chilling. Like, I'm just sitting around, and the dog went rip and pulled my nose ring, like with a 14 gauge ball, through one side of my nostril, out the other, and there was blood. There was blood. Guaranteed.
And that was for the just before the episode that we did at the Gig Harbor Brew Fest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love dogs, and mostly boxers now. Like, they're my favorite breed.
Except for one.
No, he loves
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. You bow to no one, boxer. Whatever. Good Lord. You guys are so off track. What are we even doing right now?
I'm eating.
Ouch. Why'd you hit me with Friend Frog stick?
So, how about another news of the weird? You want to start, George?
A little short one. I happened to
Wait, I have another question, please.
Oh, no.
sit down.
This is a 2 or maybe even 3-part question.
Oh, my God.
Number 1, when you guys, the 3 of you get together, is Bob always in the middle?
Well, it's the best sandwich that way.
Also, second question is, when you edit this down, Max, is it a lot funnier?
No.
Probably not. And what was the third question, sir?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, that's what happens with senility kicking
Yeah.
in.
Oh no, I remember it now. Is there a specific animal we're talking about tonight, or is it just a wing thing? We're just winging
We're
it.
doing news of the
You weren't
weird.
paying attention, sir.
Really? Was there an animal earlier that
No.
we decided on?
No, we're doing news of the weird.
Oh, I see.
Which
So-
we do every so often.
The animal comes after this?
No, do you have an animal?
Yeah.
Do you have an animal you want to talk about, sir?
Yeah.
Not in particular.
Other than a potato bug.
No, mine was the potato bug.
Yeti?
Well, do you want to come before or after the animal?
He just wants to come.
It's your choice. Right.
That would be lovely.
It's been that long, huh, John?
Yeah. Long hung down.
He shouldn't heckle us before we do the beer review.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like
you're not
gonna show up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, George. You said you had another story?
Oh, it's just a little short one. Got
That's
a,
what she said.
okay. Little short
That bell's dead.
video locally. A giant Pacific octopus was swimming in Donkey Creek in Gig Harbor. And it was a really cool video. It was literally swimming in it like it liked it. And I'd never seen anything like that before. It turns out it happens every once in a while, and it happens in that creek every once in a while. And I can only imagine that they're just out cruising around. But I guess after the male octopus mates, it goes through a period where it's just like out of its mind.
I'm gonna die anyway.
Right, it's like driving around with a bottle of whiskey and a gun on the seat and doesn't care. And that's what this one was doing. They're out in the daylight in shallow water, and they would never do that because the eagle would just grab them. They just don't care.
Right. It's gonna die anyway.
And when I was a kid, when I described picking up one of them, that was the situation. It was in like 2 feet of water and swimming along in a place where it should have never been. And we just netted it and put it in a boat. So I thought that was fairly interesting. Why they go in the freshwater, I don't think there's a good reason.
Have you got another story, George? Or Bob?
I might have a story.
Can you read your notes?
Maybe.
Oh God.
Actually, I can't. Max, start the video.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Barrel holds 54 imperial gallons, and a sherry butt holds 108 imperial gallons. And an imperial gallon is equal to 1.2 US gallons. Our author was lucky enough to try a sample of this at an event at the Glass House in New Canaan, Connecticut. And here
I'd be pissed.
this stuff will sell out fast to your crazy rich collectors and just sit around unopened and possibly for its entire life. And if you have the money, they suggested you buy two, one to drink and one for your collection. And this comes from Balmore and Aston Martin Art 52 single malt scotch is a $75,000 masterpiece. Jonah Flicker, Men's Journal.
Are they paying for this?
They should. They freaking should be, because that's honestly incredible.
I think we have another question.
Yeah, and
Get us back on
this
track.
location, the questions are open once you open them.
Always for you.
I have a friend,
Ooh, you
I'm
have
with
friends?
you.
a couple.
Wow.
I got
Is
two.
that true?
Why
Okay, we got the thumbs
They
up
would
from
like to
Karen.
know, as a teacher, what your recommended class pet is, and they are located
What is the
in
age?
Arizona,
What is the age
Middle
of the
school.
kids? Middle school.
11 to 14.
If we're looking for something that is going to be low maintenance, a snake.
I'd go Beatles.
But beetles don't live that long. They basically spend most of the time in the larval form. They hatch and then they're dead within 3 or 4 months.
Do snakes live too long?
Do the snakes live what?
Too long?
Well, it depends. They live anywhere from 15 to 50 years, depending on the snake. But you feed them.
How old have you?
You feed them once a week, which means you have cleanup once a week.
Yeah, I go.
So they are a fairly low maintenance pet. You go from the smaller varieties, king snake, corn snake, and depending on in Arizona, they can have some of the native species, or just a corn snake they're not aggressive. I mean, there's a lot of other things. You can go with a hamster, but they sleep all day. Mice and rats.
Horn beetles, I think, would be a good one.
Horn beetles are great, but again, having worked with them, they're in their larval form for the 90% of their lifetime.
I think having worked with hamsters, they predate as much corn as snakes do.
I don't even know where to go with that. Any other questions?
That was just for you, Mark.
Thank you. Oh no.
I didn't have anything.
All right, round
Yeah.
robin.
Brain.
Brain. My name Brain.
Brian? the Brain Blaine.
I wanted to round robin, so you choose his animal that he is, you choose his animal, and you choose his animal. Each choose an animal, but not your own.
That we are or we like?
No, that you are. So you choose like what you think his animal is.
George is an orangutan.
Okay.
Panda.
Panda?
George.
No. You each
No,
choose.
George is the panda. No, 100%.
You're off the rails. You're off the thing.
You're off your rocker.
I'm just saying, I visualize George as an orangutan. He's got the red beard, and it's going.
I broke the tail out of my car today, so
it's going
It's more white.
more white, but again, as orangutans age, they get the white in there too. So you know.
George says sea bass.
I don't know. I think you're kind of weaselly.
He's a stoat.
Kind of like a otter.
Someone said an otter. That is
You
right.
ought to have another beer.
Yeah. I've already been told that I'm not a bear, I'm an otter. And that was by my wife at my 40th birthday.
Was not me.
Oh,
That
it
other
was
wife.
you.
That was the other one.
We were in New Orleans for my 40th birthday. Yeah, it was Bear Week.
It was very.
And you're like,
I don't wanna know-
you're an otter.
I don't want to know about their bear week.
And I had so many dudes that were like, I'm carrying a bag of crystal. If anybody's familiar with
Crystal meth.
New Orleans or crystal meth.
Or Bear Week in New Orleans.
Yeah, they make mini chili dogs and mini sliders and all this stuff. And I'm carrying a bag of crystal, and this dude's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, I'm just here with my wife. It's my 40th birthday. And they're like, well, we were hoping you'd come back to our place.
You want to be my band?
Like, you already got a bag full of delicious sliders. You know, do your thing, bro. Like, whoa.
Whoa, your flamingos just
Yeah, you
fly.
gotta pick Mark's animal, Bob.
Mark's animal would be the, jeez, I'm gonna go walrus.
I am the walrus.
Cuckoo-ca-choo.
Yeah. Ka-choo.
What's Matt's?
Yeah, we don't need to answer that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo.
Squirrel.
How about the picnic basket?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Bulldog.
Take a bulldog.
Honestly, I would go bulldog because he keeps on us. Well, if anybody's ever worked with a bulldog, they look mean. No, but I meant the real dog.
Crap on the
They look mean, but they're very amiable.
Yeah.
They
Like,
were
not just the cheeks, the actual dog.
the actual dog themselves. They were bred originally to fight with bulls. They were a lot more massive back in the day. They almost went extinct, but people got them, and they're actually a very cool dog. The only problem I have with them is they don't live very long because they're such a small gene pool, and it's to the point where if you're going to have puppies,
He's right
they
there.
can only be bred. They can only be done with cesarean section because they narrow the hips so much.
This animal education.
He's sitting right in front of you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think I have small hips?
Yeah, Max.
Well,
You're not gonna have kids. You're not breathing. Yeah, you're not childbearing material.
When I dip, you dip, we dip.
just go slow.
Yeah. Put my hand upon my hips.
Kids don't lie.
All right. So I'm gonna do one more news of the weird.
Nudes of the weird.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the immortal jellyfish.
Oh.
And I'm not even gonna attempt to go to the scientific name because, yeah, it's too far into the evening. Anyway, most jellyfish, when they mature, they breed and then they die. But this one has figured out a whole new way to get around that. So what they do is they reproduce, and then they decide, you know what? I'm going to become an immature animal again. And so they become immature, sink down to the bottom of the seafloor, become a polyp. And so that keeps happening over multiple generations. So technically, these things could live forever. So the weird thing is, there's actually 3 species in this genus. I'm just going to go with their part of the name. That's the Doronil is the one that's actually immortal. There's another one called the, God, I can't even read my own writing, Neutralella and Ruba. Now, the weird thing is they thought that the Neutralella was the immortal one. Now, those are found not in a frog. Those are found in areas around Southeast Asia. The real true immortal jellyfish is found in the Mediterranean, and the other one is rubra, which is found around New Zealand. So basically, as the immortal, it was described as the Neutronella one, and then they said, wait, this isn't the right one, because it's hard to distinguish them physically unless you do a DNA study. And the even weirder thing is, all pictures you're going to see of this immortal frog, or immortal jellyfish, is going to be in the rubra, because they happen to be bigger and it's easier to photograph them.
Are they poisonous?
No, because then that's the thing is, they're kind of having a worrying about how they can be immortal, considering they only measure 4.5 millimeters, which basically is 1.77 inches. So they actually end up being food for a lot of fish and other jellyfish. But they've actually have in the laboratory have them continually live for time and time again. So it is thought that they could actually become immortal if they're not eaten.
So,
Huh. Got any more?
I remember the time I wasn't eating, Mark. Could you eat me? No. Bullshit.
So there was a guy in Western Australia that got stung by a box jellyfish, and it put him down for 72 hours, and he recovered from it, and literally 5 weeks later he decided he was going to go surfing again and put his they call it a rash vest, but it's just a shirt to keep you from getting stung by jellyfish and whatever back on. And he got stung again once it got moist. And
eat it, friend frog.
They claim that the pneumatocysts that fire off the little poison dart that holds the venom can exist for 1,000 years if it's dried. And he just happened to put his vest back on, and
There were stingers in there.
So 5 weeks later, he was re-stung by the very same jellyfish that stung him the first time.
Damn.
That sucks. Did somebody pee on them to help them?
No, and so I did a little bit of research into that, and pee is not the way to go. Vinegar is the way to go, because
You didn't read Kon-Tiki, did you?
no, they all peed on each other every day.
Who peed on each other every day?
On Kon-Tiki,
Ah,
talking about aliens.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Uh-oh. We got more jerky from Bob.
oh snap.
This is New Mexico jerky, which we've talked about on a previous podcast.
Anyway, don't pee on a jellyfish sting. That's what the science has said. Because the pH of the pea could be off too far, and it could actually fire all of the nematocysts that are left on.
I'll pee wherever the hell I
If it's
want to
not-
pee.
If it's not acid enough, it will trigger all of them to fire.
Aggravate this situation.
It's a bad way to go down.
So, how about a drink review?
If you like that.
I love that.
How about a drink review? Oh, before we do the drink review, I'm gonna special thanks to Tim Anderson, who brought us in some gingerbread factory cookies from Leavenworth, which we will be tasting here shortly. So, George, how about some mouthfeel? What do you think about this dead in your mouth?
Oh, mouthfeel was good. The way it smells is kind of it smells kind of dopey.
Dopey?
It smells a little
Like
bit
hot?
Yeah, a little bit.
Good. Nothing wrong with that.
Almost like the terpenes that go with the dope are almost existent in those. That first hit of hops, when you first tip it up your nose. It was good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad.
No,
but it was distinct.
I'm not gonna say you put your headband on backwards, but you put your headband on backwards.
Yours is
So- Oh, man.
Sorry, that's yours.
That's yours to keep.
Sorry. I thought I still had it on. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah.
So how about a rating?
Man, it's been my everyday drinker. I think I mentioned it earlier about the whole gym used to be at North 47. This is the culmination of his vision with the whole frog thing. I'm going to give it a solid 8.5.
I'm gonna go. I would go 8.75.
I think it's a 9. I hadn't had it before.
What beer is this?
I thought
You
it was
were
Dead Man
9 out the
Island
gate?
IPA.
I thought it was good.
I like
You've
it.
been drinking nothing but the Hazy Comet, George.
Yeah. And this one is a little spicier hop wise.
It's. I like it because it's not your typical Northwest.
It's way
IPA.
spicier hop wise.
It's
Yeah.
Doesn't have that piney feel.
Hold on a
It's
second.
kind of piney.
George, give me a number on the Hazy Comet.
9.
He did a 9.
I like them both the same.
No, this isn't the Hazy Comet.
I know that.
This is the Dead Man.
I know.
Gave it a 9.
So you're giving both of them a 9.
Yeah.
We got 2 9s rolling
over
up
it.
in here.
Well, the Hazy Comet.
Okay.
The Hazy Comet is a
2 9s.
is a pale ale. It's not an IPA. So
You're not an IPA.
I know I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not hoppy enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
What's your number?
I gave it a 8.75, Mac.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Already. All right. So how about a toast, guys?
Yeah.
Here's to 1 year,
Dry toast.
10 years more. Yeah. Cheers. Cheers to all of you. Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank y'all.
Peace out.